Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and Canon has just announced two new massive megapixel cameras, and they are called the Canon EOS 5DS and the 5DSR. It's kind of similar to what Nikon did with the D800 and the D800e, where one of them has a low-pass filter and the other one doesn't. So let's talk about the features that are in there, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts about it. So first off, they say it's available in June, $36.99 with the low-pass filter, $38.99 without the low-pass filter. Not sure why they just didn't do it without the low-pass filter. Why do you have two cameras instead of just one? We learned that from Nikon that they had to, then they went to one. So I don't know what Canon's reasoning is for that. We'd have to find out a little later. But the major point here is that it's 50.6 megapixels. That is a massive amount of megapixels. That means that this camera is meant for people that are in doing studio work, who need massive files to go ahead and process and edit those RAWs to get a massive, clean, colorful, sharp image. Personally, I would go with the one without the low-pass filter because I want the best sharpness possible coming out of the camera. We've got 100 to 6400 ISO natively. Not a huge range, but if you take into consideration what the camera is for, you don't have to worry about such a high ISO because it's meant to be used in a studio situation or in portraits or in better daylight. But I would have liked to have seen the ISO go down as low as 50, if not 64. But I think they may not have been able to do that because of how many megapixels they are squeezing into this camera. Now, they do go down to 50, not recommended in the expanded mode, but I wouldn't go there. There's a reason it's called expanded and not native. So I would have liked to have seen that go a little further down lower. 6400 is perfectly fine for a camera that is slated for what it's supposed to be. Now it has 61 autofocus points, 41 of them being cross-type. That's an amazing amount of cross-type sensors. That means that this thing is going to be able to track subjects extremely well, but that begs the question, is this meant to be used for subjects that are going to be needed to be tracked extremely well? Is that good for what? Studio work? Or is it good for sports? Or is it good for, what is it good for? That is the question. That's kind of like war, what's it good for? Huh, absolutely nothing. But so those 41 cross-type sensors, believe me, I'll take as many as you want to give me, even in a portrait-type camera. That just means you should have a better selectability to put the focus point where you want it. Now, they added something interesting to this camera, a 1.3x crop mode and a 1.6x crop mode. That means that instead of a 50 megapixel file, you're going to shrink it down for the 1.3 and the 1.6. But I don't understand that. If this is a portrait-type camera that really isn't meant for sports or concerts or low light, why would you need extra reach? That just doesn't make sense to me. And if I'm missing something here, somebody leave a comment and let me know what I'm missing, where in the studio environment you want to shrink down the megapixels basically to get a bigger reach. Now, one thing I didn't say is that you do have your 50 megapixels for RAW, but then you could also do RAW medium and RAW small if you want to dumb it down. But again, why dumb down a file? I don't understand that. Use the full amount of megapixels that they give you to shoot. Dual Digic 6 processors. It takes a compact flash card. It takes an SD card. That's all the normal stuff. 5 frames a second. That's a lot of frames a second. When you think you're pumping through 50 megabyte files at 5 frames a second, that's pretty good. It has something that I think is awesome that Nikon doesn't have. It's a flicker detection mode. That means if you're taking a picture in whatever the light's in, sodium vapor or in a hall where the lights are flickering, it will kind of detect the flick and wait to take the picture so you don't get it. There's an example up on the screen right now that I shot with my D4S yesterday that shows what happens when you get the flicker. One picture is boom, and the other is missing the flick. Kind of interesting. 3.2-inch screen, non-touch screen, perfectly fine there. We talked about the 5DSR having the no low-pass filter. It's the same exact body as the 5D Mark III. Don't forget about talking about video modes. It does 1080 at 24, 25, and 30. It does take a microphone in, but you can't get clean video out on the outside of it if you're trying to go through the HDMI to do that. One other thing it doesn't have is a microphone jack so that you can monitor this. This isn't a video camera. It's not meant to be a video camera. So it's an interesting type of camera. I've written up, like, who do I think it's for and where do I think it's going to be used? Would a wedding photographer use it, or are the files way too big? Would a concert photographer use it, or no, because the ISO doesn't go up too high? It's kind of interesting where they've placed this camera. Now, it's not priced as much as I thought it would be. That's kind of why the 5D Mark III has dropped in price, but $36.99 and $38.99 isn't that bad if you are a student. I think this is a flat-out studio photographer type camera. If you want to use it for sports in bright daylight, by all means go for it, but it's going to be the cleanest for those portraits. I am interested to get my hands on this. It could be interesting to shoot, and I look forward to doing that. One other thing that they did announce is a long-rumored lens. It's an 11-24 f4, $3,000. The Nikon 14-24 is under $2,000. And that's a 2.8. Now, nothing wrong with having an f4, I don't think, in an 11-24. That is a huge, wide range, and I'll take that any day of the week. You don't need to have a 2.8 when you're that wide. You just don't have to. But a $3,000 f4 is insane. I actually ordered one from Alan. The first one that comes in has my name on it because I want to do the tests and I want to try it out on any of the Canons that we currently use. So this is an interesting camera. What is Canon thinking? Why two? Why not just one? I don't know what they're going for there. Now, you have the 5D Mark III, which is your all-around camera. You shoot weddings, you shoot sports, you shoot portraits, you shoot concerts, you shoot whatever you want, you shoot videos. It does everything. It's one of the best cameras ever made on the market between Nikon and Canon. The 5D Mark III is the jack of all trades. It pretty much does everything. This camera is a jack of one trade, and we're going to see how that does. But why are there two? Why with one with a low-pass filter and one without? I don't understand that yet, but I'm going to leave it at that because this is just a preview. What do you guys think about this camera? Would you get it? What would you use it for if you did get it? And if you're not going to get it, is it because you have a 5D Mark III or you think that's a better choice? Of course, a 5D Mark IV is going to be coming out at some point, but let's see how this camera works with 50.6 megapixels. I think it's going to be great for portraits. I can't wait to try it out, and I can't wait to try out that 11-14. So one more thing. If you haven't signed up for the Fronos Photo email list, you could do so by clicking in this orange box over here. Just put your name, email address in it, hit send it when you're over on the website, and I'm going to send you a free guide to capturing motion in low-light situations. So that is where I'm going to leave it, and that's it. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.